Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm David Oliveira. I'm director of FortifyData. I have here with me Mr. Jude Pereira, CEO from Nanjgel, one of our most valued partners in several regions, of course. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. I hope this will meet your expectations. For today, we have a quick agenda for this webinar. So I'm going to quickly introduce both me and Jude Pereira from Nanjgel. Okay, I'm going to introduce you the FortifyData platform. We're going to talk about the need to have continuous threat exposure management implemented in your systems and in your companies. I'm going to talk about what it is, the portion of taking a look at your own attack surface and also on your third parties, and also to talk about some tool consolidation opportunities that this tool of FortifyData brings to all of you. Okay, so I'm going to let Mr. Jude quickly introduce himself, and I will pick it up from there. Jude.
Hey, David. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jude Pereira, and I'm the CEO Managing Director for Nanjgel Solutions. We're based out of Dubai, Internet City, and we cover the Middle East, India, Africa, and UK. We're proud to partner with FortifyData for cyber risk management, and we'll be more than happy to assist you post this webinar. And I hope it's an informative session for each one of you. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Jude. So a quick introduction about myself. So my name is David Oliveira. I'm based here in Lisbon. So I'm the head of the operations here for EMEA and Middle East here at FortifyData. So a bit of my background. So I'm working in cybersecurity for the past almost 20 years. Even coming from the first generation security ratings tools such as BitSight, where we used to work in the early beginning, so I know that technology pretty well, and just then moved towards FortifyData. Very happy to be here. Meanwhile, and just not wasting too much time presenting myself, just to let you guys know, these slides will be available for downloading at the end of this webinar, so please feel free to do so. Meanwhile, I'm going to start with a quick poll to understand a bit about your needs. It's anonymous, so you don't need to feel constrained anyhow to start going and answering the poll, right? Okay, thank you very much. So let us begin the fun part about all of this. Okay, so about FortifyData, first and utmost, we need to quickly emphasize the following. Although we produce a score, we are not a security ratings platform at all. We are a continuous threat exposure management solution. The reason that we say this is because we started this platform answering a very urgent need that the companies all over the world felt, to have live assessments continuously made without the disruptions of a pen test or anything, but with almost the same depth of analysis that can be brought by those first generation methodologies that are used, or tools in this case. So this is the reason why we came about. So FortifyData is able to monitor your entire attack surface. Okay, just a quick glimpse. Meanwhile, and due to the extensive work that we have done developing this platform, we have been awarded with some interesting prizes from the Cyber Defense magazine in 2023. We were winners for risk-based vulnerability management and also for third-party risk management. And the reason for that is that we are considered the second generation tools, so the live tools, in opposition to the old technology that's still available. We were also awarded the CISO Choice Award for 2022 for vulnerability management, The Cyber Defense magazine once again just gave us that prize as well, and I'm not going to run through all of the prizes. There are too many and far too many to be mentioned all of them at once. Okay, now why FortifyData? Why continuous threat exposure management? Why do we need to choose a bit the paradigm of our tooling and of our capability of taking a look at our threats throughout our landscape, okay, throughout all the attack surface? The reason for that is that you need active assessments. So needless to say that the legal pressure is increasing considerably. We have DORA coming in here in the European Union. You have the new NIST, all sorts of different regulations. We are under a I would say a cyber war not only perpetrated by the guys that want to take profit from this, but also from even state-owned. So we need to be more careful, more thorough with the information that we collect, and most importantly, being able to understand how to deal with that information. So these are the main problems that FortifyData helps you to solve. And for that, we are within the active assessment category. And the reasons and the main advantages of that are quite clear. So we are going to give you live data. So what we see and what it's shown in the platform is what was seen today, and not 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even more than that ago. Okay, we will do a continuous and weekly knowledge of your cyber risk. The reason for that is that we will refresh the inventory of your assets, the visible assets that are out there, especially on the external side of things. And because it is, for all of the portions of your attack surface, the one that is more likely to be changed constantly. Needless to say, a wrong configuration of a router, wrong configuration of a firewall policy, and all of a sudden you have exposed into the internet world, which is the same to say exposed to the hackers, to the bad guys, some critical assets that you would like not to be seen. Now, this is the main differentiator. We had so far and up until now a lot of tools that made a passive collection of information, just gave you a quick assumption about what it will be like, your cybersecurity posture seen on the outside world with a lot of flaws, misattribution of assets, high false positive rates. We have been contacted by a lot of companies complaining about monitoring their third parties with these first generation tools, and then them being breached, and yet their rating remaining the same. The reason for that, the explanation for that, is that the information that it's gathered there, it comes from traffic logs and open source analysis. They are late upon arrival. They have to purchase that information from elsewhere. While us here in FortifyData, what we do is that we will query and we will scan ourselves live 24/7 all of your attack surface, and the same will apply to your third parties, although we do it anonymously, so in a way that they will not be able to understand that they are being assessed, yet you can disclaim and say that you are assessing them nevertheless. Now, I came through and just emphasize a couple of aspects that contribute to the fact that you indeed need the continuous threat exposure management, but most importantly, you need tools that can bring you that information live. Now, one of the things that we have understood and throughout all the years that we have this platform, and by the way, this platform is up and running since 2018, so it's not a fresh tool coming out in the market. It's well tested, so we know, and we have been evolving throughout these years, improving it. But here's the thing which we need to understand: the biggest I would say, strategic advantages of having these kinds of tools that can give you a broad view around all of your landscape. And that is, you can have a risk-based vulnerability management driven by business context. One of the things that we need to understand is that, and we understand this very well in FortifyData, we know that all of our customers, they have a lot of tools. They have different sorts of tools. So information, it's something that they don't lack somehow. What they lack is a quick understanding about what they can do with it, contextualizing it on a daily basis. And this is one of the added values of FortifyData, okay? We can bring tool consolidation because the platform is able to read also data coming from external sources. And the outcome of this is that we will give you your risk matrix or risk landscape on yourself, as well as your third parties, okay, that being continuously made, but we will give you on a business context. And what does this mean? Very quickly, it means that we will highlight and take emphasis on the asset criticality, because although all assets are important, they aren't equally important. There are some of them that they are more important than others, and therefore it means that we will take under consideration the assets criticality to bring you a list of prioritization that needs to be undergone throughout the days, weeks, whatever the case may be. So at the end, what you have with this tool is not only a fresh set of information, but also consolidation of all the tooling that you have in place into one single dashboard, one single matrix, one single list of prioritization that you can just focus on dealing with the real problems according to its prioritization. And please bear in mind this, our goal is to keep business going, okay? This is what we need. Now, another thing that we have quickly understood is that all of the systems that were out there, okay, some of them more automated, others less automated, from the Excel spreadsheets, whatever the case may be, they all have one problem in common, and that is you would have to trust your vendor's words to answer the questions that you send out to them, even though they would send all the questionnaires filled out in a timely manner, which is, as we know, a bit hard. We are aware of that. But here's the thing. With FortifyData, you can trust them, but you will verify. Okay, this is another new technology that we brought in, is that all the questionnaires, even for the questionnaires for the internal use for compliance, for example, or for your third parties, are connected with the technical findings. So whatever the answer might be given by one of your vendors, should he be lying or trying to polish a bit the truth, it's useless, because we will check and we will confirm all the things that they will answer in the question. So this is one of the biggest breakthrough, and this helps you to trust, but you will verify with them. Now, as you know, and I'm not going to give you a very theoretical lesson or lecture about the continuous threat exposure management process, but a quick highlight about this is to identify first and utmost, and this is what we do. We will refresh the inventory of your external attack surface every week. I've mentioned the reasons why. They are quite clear. If there is an ever-changing landscape, that is the external one, and for all the reasons we are completely aware of, we need also to contextualize it. So information we have, in some cases, we have far too much information. We need to bring some clarity about all the information that it's gathered. We need to automate the processes. We need to automate all the response to the information or the inputs that are out there. But at the end of the day, the pressure is to keep business going. So instead of having a too much hypochondriac view of the risk on everyone else, you might as well have a highly contextualized, trying to understand how the business of your partners, how your business is run, trying to understand how you can live with the risk, either to avoid it, to absorb it, or transfer, whatever the case may be. And this is the tool to do so, okay? Threat intelligence, that's another thing that we are very keen about. You know, going on just on the CVEs themselves is not enough, as you know. The bad guys are highly creative. They are coming up with completely different techniques all the time to exploit different attack vectors known for the CVEs. And this is something that we do. We are connecting APT threat intel information to our algorithms. By the way, we use more than one algorithm, so you will have a high quality ratio of information given, because it's not made by just one algorithm, it's more than one, and I'll explain this later on. But the thing is, you are going to be able to understand the same CVE being used with the different techniques that are being known out there from you, being used by the bad guys, how vulnerable you are, and this will be reflected on the likelihood of each one of the events, and you will know, and they will be clearly positioned in the list of things that you need to address. Prioritization, well, it's the only answer we can have when most of the cases are understaffed, and in some cases without the means. So you can't address all the issues all at once. You will have to choose those that are more higher priority from the others who have less priorities. And this is what the FortifyData platform does, among other things, is to clearly prioritize things according to the criticality of the assets, and also some taking into consideration the security controls you might have in place. That is also important. But at the end and not least, we need to quantify. It is very interesting to have all of these procedures, all of these things being done. But the problem is that, okay, although we are trying to implement a lot of processes, in some cases, some interesting tools as well, we need to understand how far did we go? How secure have we become? Are we the most likely target? Yes or no? This is why quantification is important. But here's the thing. Quantification is very difficult to implement. There isn't one single metric that can truthfully reflect the entire different realities. Although we are all connected to each other, the way that our businesses need to be run and the way that we are connected to each other differs from company to company. So in some cases, you might even need, for sake of a fair, I would say, a fair assumption about quantification, you might need to risk module. So you might need to change the criteria to quantify your performance. And this is also possible in FortifyData, okay? Meanwhile, I'll just give you a heads up. You can at any time just put on the chat any questions you might have, and I will answer them at the end of this webinar. Okay, so basically, what can we deliver with this platform in terms of continuous threat exposure management? Attack surface management, so we will inventory your attack surface. We will query all of the attack surface, okay? We will do the risk-based vulnerability management according to the asset criticality and to the fact that there are or not existing compensating controls or security controls in place that might reduce the likelihood of the event, so that it can reflect your clear and conscious decision about absorbing a portion of your risks, okay? Third-party risk management, needless to say, 62% of the breaches disclosed last year alone came through a third-party exploit. Somewhere, somehow, the hackers or the bad guys came across or grabbed hold of their information, piggy riding, so to speak, pardon my expression, one of your smallest and most defenseless third parties. So needless to say, you are as strong as your weakest link, and your weakest link is somewhere in your supply chain. Okay. We need also to have configurable security ratings. We have been contacted by lots and lots of different customers throughout the globe, and this is not only on the US and not only in Europe, complaining about some security ratings companies misattributing a lot of IP addresses that do not belong to them, and performing ratings that aren't reflective of their true security posture or cyber risk security posture, and bringing some reputational damage. And this is why the reason why they are shifting towards FortifyData, and they're using FortifyData as the standard to send, for example, for the legal authorities, because that will reflect more thoroughly their true risk matrix. Okay. Let me just emphasize the fact that all of these features on all of these strategic needs or items are all rolled into one single platform, one single dashboard, and plus in the ability to log in feeds from other softwares that you have in place to be dealt with one single dashboard. Okay. Now, how do we do this? Basically, and going into a more deep dive into how we bring all of this information together. Okay, let us be aware that we will do an asset. We are enabling you to do an asset classification, so you can tell us how critical each one of your assets are. Okay. We will bring you the likelihood of threat occurrence, and that can be changed by the existence of a threat of a security control or not, and we will tell you the business impact. In fact, we go as far as giving you a financial quantification of what it could be a breach on that specific asset. Okay. Furthermore, if you are a cyber insurance customer, you can load in your cyber insurance policy, and you will be able to understand at the end, classifying each one of your assets, right? And taking under consideration all the threats that are seen, if you are underinsured or if you need to increase your cyber insurance policies, right? Okay. Now, this is, as I mentioned, all of this information is enriched, okay, by threat intel. Let me just give you a quick parenthesis around this. We do not use one single algorithm to search all and to scan all of your assets, okay? It's a combination of more than 20 different ones. The reason for that is quite easy to explain. First and utmost, we will take a look at your assets, and once one of the algorithms picks up something, it will trigger a next tool and the next tool and the next tool. The reason for that is very easy to explain. First and utmost, we need to answer the question, are we facing a false positive? We know, and I think most of you know, that there isn't one single algorithm that is able to detect all different types of vulnerabilities, nor even the same vulnerabilities. In some cases, some algorithms are able to detect some attack vectors, others not the same. So this is why we use a combination of completely different tools to understand, first and utmost, is it a false positive? So if it is seen by several different types of algorithms, then we are pretty sure that it is a true event. Second of all, the system will be able to understand how, or the way that the asset is configured, okay? And therefore, we will bring to you, okay, the likelihood and the potential impact being reflected by that information. Meaning, for example, if you have an asset or two assets with equal CVEs seen on them, the system will be able to understand the way that they are configured. And if the first asset is more prone to be attacked with using more techniques, this information we gather from threat intel APT information, and also by the assets configuration. If it is possible to be attacked with using more attack vectors, at the end, the outcome will be that this specific asset will weigh more on your security performance. It will bring down your punctuation, but also in your prioritization list, it will show up on top of the list and the other one underneath it. It's very easy. So this is why we do this, and we do this 24/7, okay? Now, as we all know, third-party risk management is way more than compliance. It's way more than just trusting your vendors. We know, and we are completely aware of the challenges that this specific approach has, but we have come up with a system that will considerably help you, not only bringing you scale to your activities, but also you can trust all of your vendors, but you will be quite sure that it has been verified. So exactly the same system that you can use and that I have explained that our engines use to take a look at your own assets, it will be used on your third parties, with just one exception, okay? We only take a look at their external facing assets, meaning we will not be intrusive. But when we say that we will scan them, we will actually touch the surface. Okay, so we will be able to understand if they have web application firewalls, if they have load balancers, all of those different types of information that it's highly vital. If you are connected with them logically and exchanging data, you need to understand what kind of tools they might have. So you don't need to send a questionnaire asking if they have those tools. We will verify them, and regardless of what they might want to answer, you will be able to understand if they have it or not. So you don't need just to trust. You can trust, but you will verify them. Okay, so one of the things that we have developed in this platform, which is very interesting, as you know, questionnaire platforms, you have thousands of them. So I'm not going to try here to try to convince you guys that we have reinvented the wheel. That's not the case. That's not me. But we have come up with a very interesting technology, and that is we have already built in questionnaires. You can change them. You can upload your own. All of that is possible. The correlation between the previous questionnaire and the newest one is done automatically. Nothing new about that. What it is new, though, is, and I don't know if you are able to see, once you send out a questionnaire to anyone on your supply chain, right, you will be able to let them know that before they answer any question, there are related findings or not. In some cases, there might not be, so that's a good sign. But if there are, they will highlight the fact that, well, listen, before you just, randomly answer the questions, we are able to see all of these events. So either you just tell us the truth, or you will comment on them, because they might be aware of those problems. It just might just be the way that their business needs to be wired, so to speak, and they might have compensating controls in place. Please bear in mind that any time you don't need just to take their word for it. Okay, you can demand of them to upload evidences. All of that information will be kept in the platform for auditing purposes. But the point about this is the following: you can trust all of them, but you will verify all the information. So it will allow you to not to waste too much time, okay, verifying and trying to schedule calls with the vendors, trying to run through all the questions and trying to understand if they're answering truthfully or not, this is done automatically in one single pane of glass massively. So this is done scaling all the processes, okay? Another thing that we have done, and it is interesting, is we also are able, okay, to detect the newest threats available. You can run a search throughout all of your supply chain. For example, I'm going to give you one quick example of Log4j, which is about 1 year old, at least when it first came about. And one of the first things that all of our customers did in their supply chain was looking into their supply chain, trying to understand within all of their supply chain who might have been with Log4j, and of course, bringing out that information to them. Most of them didn't have the tools that enable them to take a look at that and and do something about it. One of the things that this platform is enabling you guys to do is, once you send out a questionnaire and once you do an assessment to your third parties, you are able to grant them access to their own information. The reason for that is most of the cases we need to work with smaller companies that might not be as mature as we are in terms of security, and they might not have the tools in place to detect all the problems that we can see. So might as well just grant them access and just helping them build all these the procedures and processes to overcome all the problems that they are seeing. Okay, now the control, auto validation, and the patching. One of the things that is very interesting is that most of the times, their inventory changes the same way that ours change, and you need to have all of these informations being given in a timely manner. Sorry, my phone just went off. Apologies. And one of the things that you need to understand is that how is their security hygiene, and there is the patching cadence. You are able to detect if they are missing patches, and you can, at any given point in time, in this specific tab or in any other tab or any other event that you see, you can generate tasks and ask them to speed up the remediation of those events, should those events being seen on one of the assets that are most critical specifically to you due to the way that you are connected with that. Okay. Another thing in terms of misconfigurations, ACL misconfigurations as well, all the related findings, you can ask them to mitigate some of them, to explain some of them, and most importantly, by granting them access to their own portal, they are able to identify the assets, each one of their assets criticality, so that you can be able to understand, for example, or you shouldn't be worried on events that are coming out of an asset that it's not critical or holding very important information. This applies to you, and this applies also to your third parties as well. Okay. Another thing, and as you can see here, one of the things that you will be interested in is, okay, so I sent out a task. They have said that they have completed it. Would that mean that the event itself will be erased from the platform? No, sir. It is not enough the fact that you can tell us that it is mitigated. We will check. Please be mindful of the fact that we are going to run assessments continuously. So whatever that you do, if you fix this within 1 or 2 days, it will be reflected in the platform. You don't need to acknowledge us that you have mitigated. We will check. In fact, we will check. And if, even though you might say that I have fixed it, if it's not enough, and we will run a new scan on your assets, if it's still there, it will be there. And as you can see here, the counter on the days or number of days that it is existing since the first time it was picked up until until the last time it was seen. You have a timer there, so it will also be helpful for you guys to understand how quick they might be addressing all of the issues, so that you can rise the risk level or decrease depending on that criteria as well. Okay. Another thing about the validation questionnaire, okay? One of the things that we need to understand is that sometimes some questions or some events can be, in terms of compliance, be dealt with by an existence of a security control in place or a incident response processes. All of those tools or processes can be logged into the questionnaires as a comment, and they will be kept there for auditing purposes. This will save you a tremendous amount of time. Please be aware that the questionnaires themselves are used for third parties, but they can be used internally as well. We all know for internal purposes, in terms of compliance, we are completely dependent on a numerous set of different stakeholders internally. And sometimes we need to send out the questionnaires to raise some awareness to all of them and to make sure that everything is ready for the audits. And all of the interactions that you have with all of those internal stakeholders or even the external stakeholders, that meaning on your supply chain, all of that will be kept in this platform, okay? So the proofs are going to be kept there, okay? You can generate the tasks right here, okay? You can set the prioritization for each one. This is applicable for your own internal use as well as for your external, or in this case for your supply chain or third parties as well. You can generate the task, you can keep track of the tasks, you can demand them to upload evidences so that it can be supported with physical evidences should anything happen due to that specific problem that you have issued a task to be mitigated, okay? And another thing which is very important as far as third-party risk intelligence is the accurate vendor vulnerability data, okay? What does this mean? You will have access. So what you see in the platform about your vendors or your third parties is what it is actually happening now. It's not late data, okay? The question is, you can change the existing ones, you can generate new ones, but they have a technical correlation to the findings on their infrastructure, okay? You can even customize the security ratings or the score given to each one of them. And the reason for that is very simple to understand and to go through. And that is, for example, should you tier the different level of risk of each one of your vendors, depending on the way that they are connected to you or to the risk that they pose to you? Should you, for example, appraise a vendor to whom you are exchanging highly critical data with, okay? Should you appraise him the same way as if you were just appraising any other that poses a reputational risk for you? Of course not. The criteria, the things that will contribute to build up the security measurement of each one of them should be completely different. For example, on the first case, you would like to understand the way that his infrastructure and their applications, all the events coming out of those two items, to weigh more than anything else. Okay. On the second example, for a more reputational risk, for example, dark and deep web discoveries or historical data breaches should weigh a bit more than it would in a, I would say, normal circumstances. So you can put all of your vendors in different folders bring different scoring mechanisms or appraisals for each one of them, send them as many questionnaires as you need to send out to them in different moments. You can just quickly do this automatically, right? And then you have a accurate, truthful, and meaningful with zero trust. Okay, zero trust. This is very important. Zero trust through all of your supply chain. This applies to your subsidiaries scattered throughout the world, to potentially mergers and acquisitions of new companies or other companies that you would like to have a quick assumption around how are they performing, what kind of tools they have in place, what kind of processes they have in place, and what's the risk should they be integrated into your company, right? That's very clear, okay? Now, another thing that is very important, and it is a valid added value about this FortifyData system, is that you, in many cases, will be able to erase basically a couple of different tools that you had completely isolated from each other, not connecting to each other into one single pane of glass that is FortifyData, because we already bring you all the vulnerability assessments that you need. By the way, we are not shy to say that within our algorithms of vulnerability scanner, you will find Tenable.io, Nexus Pro, Qualys, and others that we have written ourselves. So having our vulnerability scanning mechanism or engine being run, it is basically having all of those algorithms, okay? All of those algorithms in one single license. So you don't need to have multiple tools and run them manually every day and trying to pick up and making sense about the reports from different tools. You have this in one single interface, okay? The questionnaires abilities, the same. Access to cyber threat intelligence. Should any of your assets or your supply chain assets be compromised, you will be able to understand that 24/7 within our platform, okay? Tool consolidation. One of the biggest problems here is that we have far too many different tools and less contextualization of them, okay? So this is basically, apologies, this is a very summarized version. I would love to invite you all individually, if you are willing to do so, for a quick demo. Then I can show you the platform live, and you will see all the things that I have mentioned so far, in live. But nevertheless, at any given point in time, okay, I'm going to let you guys let me know if you would like to have a complimentary report given for free for all of you guys, okay? You can just let us know if you would like to have a demo or the report itself at any given point in time. So I'm going to leave you guys to ask us any questions that you might have from this presentation. So you can type in the chat. Thank you. Okay, I have the first one. Okay. My interest is just for attack surface management. Do I need to purchase the third? No. So one of the things about this platform is a modular platform. So all the capabilities that I have mentioned so far, the attack surface management, the third-party risk management, okay, those items, you can purchase all of them or just a few of them, depending on your use case, okay? Although if you want to see them all, it will be shown in the same interface. So you don't need to, open several interfaces, just the same platform. The only difference will be if you don't purchase all the capabilities there, you will just have the ones that you have hired or purchased available, and the others will be not working, so to speak. Oh, okay. Another question. Where is your database located? Okay, good question about that. So we actually have two platforms, okay? One sitting on the United States and another one sitting in Frankfurt in the European Union states. So they are completely isolated from each other so that there's no issues in terms of privacy or compliance, okay? They will not replicate towards one another, and therefore there's no compliance issues regarding that. So either you can choose the US or the European, depending on your case. I think we have people here from different parts of the world, so at any given point in time, you can choose either one or the other. Although we are planning to expand this to other regions as well, so stay tuned. Oh, I have another question, sorry. That is, where is our database located? Okay, our database located is, we have two platforms actually, one in the US, another one in Frankfurt in European Union. So they do not replicate towards one another, so there's no issues in terms of the Cloud Act at all. So at any given point in time, I know that there are a lot of people from different parts of the world here. So you can choose either in the US or in the European Union, but we are planning also to expand this towards other regions as well. Okay. Okay. Since there are no further questions, I would like to thank you very much, all of you, for attending today's webinar. At any given point in time, I'm going to put here on the chat my email address and direct contacts would you like to contact me for further information or even to take a look at my platform. So I will gladly schedule a quick call to show you the platform working. And so thank you very much. Have a nice day and please stay safe. Thank you all. Bye.